This Disney park looks almost nothing like it did originally. But is it better now? Hey everybody, it's Chris for AllEars.net. It's time to journey through time to take a look at what Disney's Hollywood studios once looked like. And you might not recognize it. So this episode is a showdown of then and now. We asked our readers at AllEars.net and social media followers whether they prefer MGM or Hollywood. And you might be surprised by the results. It's easy to separate this particular park into then and now because of a major name change, and what started as a theme park / production studio eventually transitioned into a space to celebrate entertainment. For the sake of this competition, we're breaking down this retrospective look into 3 categories: history, food, and attractions. First up, Disney MGM Studios. What is now known as Disney's Hollywood Studios opened as Disney's MGM Studios Park on May 1st, 1989. With the theming based on the golden age of Hollywood, Disney entered into a licensing agreement with Metro-Goldwyn-Mayer, hence the original name, and the idea was for the park to function both as a theme park and an actual working production studio with a backlot. It was originally planned to be a new entertainment pavilion in Epcot, but that pavilion plan turned into the foundation of a whole new theme park.
Disney MGM Studios was originally intended to be a working film studio, and a couple things were filmed there. They filmed a movie called The Lottery starring Bette Midler. They filmed new Mickey Mouse Club there, which I always wanted to see a taping of that, but unfortunately, that's about the extent of what was actually filmed there, and Disney MGM Studios did not end up making Orlando Hollywood East the way they had originally hoped.
From 1989 to 2001, the big icon of the park was the EARFFEL Tower, and it was replaced by Mickey's sorcerer hat in 2001, which was eventually removed in 2014. Because of the licensing agreement with MGM, characters such as the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles appeared in the park, along with other MGM-owned intellectual properties. When MGM Studios first opened, the Star Today program was a daily feature with a new celebrity guest to be part of a handprint ceremony in front of the Chinese theater. They would also take rides in a motorcade down Hollywood Boulevard and even participate in interviews. When asked to choose then or now, reader Kelly C. voted MGM. It was neat to see the ways a real studio worked and feel like an active part of the magic. It was such a love letter to old school Hollywood. There's currently only one opening day element left in Hollywood Studios. Want to guess? Well, it's the Streetmosphere performers, now known as the Citizens of Hollywood.
Hollywood Studios looks very different than it used to. The vibes are so not what they used to be. When you walk into Hollywood Studios, it does not feel like MGM. It doesn't feel like early Hollywood Studios days. It feels different, even though you enter the park and it's the same entrance. The entrance hasn't changed much. Sunset Boulevard hasn't changed that much, but the vibes are different.
It probably won't surprise you to learn that the food scene has changed quite a bit since the opening of Disney MGM Studios, with many favorite dishes, restaurants, and menus having closed or been altered. The Writer's Stop, for example, was home to the fan favorite carrot cake cookie. Sounds familiar, right? Well, it should if you've tried the Trolley Car Cafe carrot cake cookie, but it's a different recipe now. Pizza Planet, based on the restaurant in Toy Story, was another location in the park for over 20 years. And don't mention Min and Bill's Dockside Diner Tamale.
Dockside Diner in Echo Lake used to be called Min and Bill's Dockside Diner. For a while, they had a chicken Caesar salad sandwich. It was like they took a delicious hoagie roll and hollowed it out and shoved a chicken Caesar salad in it. And it was awesome and delicious and crispy, and they took it away from me. And I think about it all the time. I literally made it for dinner last night because I was talking about this to someone else. It wasn't as good though. There is not a bakery case in Hollywood Studios. I don't count Starbucks. The way there's the confectionery or Zuri's where you can get your caramel apple and your Rice Krispie treat, that literally doesn't exist in Hollywood Studios anymore now that Sweet Smells is gone. That's ridiculous.
Attractions have undergone some big changes since the opening days of Disney MGM Studios. The Backstage Studio Tour was the biggest attraction when the park opened, and by biggest, we also mean the longest. It clocked in at 2 hours long. And no, we don't mean the line was 2 hours. I mean the attraction itself took 2 hours, involving both a tram and an hour of walking. The walking part took you through where actual Disney animators worked and where the costume shop was, where you could see actual seamstresses working on costumes for cast members. This tour was later revised and shortened a few times before its final iteration as the 35-minute Studio Backlot Tour, which closed in 2014. The other opening day attraction was The Great Movie Ride and was open from 1989 to 2017. This was a dark ride featuring audio animatronics and scenes from classic movies. Honey, I Shrunk the Kids movie set adventure was located in the streets of America, and it was a playground themed as a giant backyard scene from the movie. It was closed in 2016 to make way for Galaxy's Edge. The Streets of America Osborne Family Lights were a popular Christmas lights display that was open from 1995 to 2016, and its closure has led to controversy. Magic of Disney Animation closed in 2015 to make way for Star Wars Launch Bay, and it was once a place to show visitors how Disney characters were designed. Reader Gilby said, "I like both parks, but I miss MGM and the Backlot Tour and Osborne Family Spectacle of Lights. It was also fun to walk around the streets of America."
There's a lot I love about Disney's Hollywood Studios now, but as a kid of the 90s, I also have a lot of nostalgia that I miss about the old MGM Studios. Specifically, I absolutely loved, obviously, The Great Movie Ride. Who didn't? The Honey, I Shrunk the Kids playground. I always wanted to play with that giant ant. And then also I just think that the Backlot Tour was kind of awesome personally. I know that it started off, I never personally went on the one that was a very, very long tour, but the shorter version that I did go on, I loved it. I thought it was really fun.
Ooh, some of my favorite bygone attractions. Both were murdered by Luke Skywalker. One, the Osborne Lights. Oh my gosh, when they'd set those babies up on Street of America, that was the best holiday thing Disney ever did. And I understand it's just a lot of Christmas lights, but it was gorgeous, perfect, and nothing felt Christmassier than walking around there with a cup of hot cocoa, watching those lights. And that's where Galaxy's Edge is now. The other one is the Magic of Disney Animation, which is where Star Wars Launch Bay is now. And at Magic of Disney Animation, you could watch real animators at work. Not a lot of people realize that Disney movies were animated at Hollywood Studios. Mulan, Lilo and Stitch, those were made in Orlando. And you could watch animators at work. You could watch a little movie about how animated movies are made. And then this is where you got to learn how to draw a character. They also had character meet and greets in there. And sometimes they'd have surprise character meet and greets in there. And there'd be like a ton of characters. And it was like, just like such a cool building. And it was so what this park was about. And now it's just like Star Wars prop replicas and nothingness because they haven't brought the Star Wars meet and greets back.
The pros. Disney's original plan was to make a park feel like it was part of a movie production, and the addition of MGM characters expanded what Disney could offer and added a bit more. But let's face it, because it was OG, many remain attached to the original vibe. The cons, originally there were only 2 attractions, the Great Movie Ride and the Backstage Studio Tour, which was a whopping 2 hours long, and because the focus was movies, the theme was very limited. Before we explore the now, please head over to AllEars socials on Facebook and Instagram for more Disney World throwdowns, and AllEars.net to leave your reviews for everything Disney parks related. Hotels, restaurants, rides, and more. Your vote matters. Your opinion matters. Your very thoughts could be the tiebreaker in a future episode. Next up, Disney's Hollywood Studios. Disney's Hollywood Studios has become known for transformation. Before the big name change, the first park expansion happened in 1994 with the addition of Sunset Boulevard and the Tower of Terror. In 2008, MGM and Disney severed ties after a complicated relationship, and the park was rebranded as Disney's Hollywood Studios. This was also when Disney began redeveloping the park, and the 2010s marked the time when Disney began moving away from the studio vibe of the park and into a more entertainment and immersive focus. Attractions such as the Studio Backlot Tour, American Idol Experience, and The Legend of Captain Jack Sparrow were closed in 2014, and the Osborne Family Lights closed in 2015. In 2016, most of the Streets of America and EARFFEL Tower and the Lights Motors Action Extreme Stunt Show were demolished to make way for Toy Story Land and Star Wars Galaxy's Edge. The last opening day attraction, the Great Movie Ride, closed in 2017, later to be replaced with Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway. Reader William K. said, "Even the nostalgia folks choosing MGM would have to admit this one-time half-day park is now a two-day park. It has changed, in my opinion, for the better."
This is the phase of MGM that I'm most familiar with. Studio is closed. Lights Motors Action is around. Lights Motors Action was... Loved that thing. But the shift kind of continued where they started moving away from these like studio backlot themed experiences. And the big moment of shift was when they changed the name from MGM Studios to Hollywood Studios. And that same year, they announced Toy Story Mania. And I still feel like the park had that like Hollywood vibe to it with kind of just the weird Toy Story Mania edition for a while until Toy Story Land opened. And then it became very different.
Slowly but surely, they got rid of attractions that told the story of that original studio backlot theme, and they replaced them with things that involved Disney IP and immersive theming, more like you were stepping into the film as opposed to stepping into the set of the film, which, I do like the way it is, but a big part of me is nostalgic for the exciting feeling you had stepping into the old Disney MGM studios, feeling like you were walking onto a hot set, as they say.
With closures and new expansions, there have been a lot of menu changes and food additions. Pizza Planet was changed to Pizza Rizzo, though that doughy pizza is pretty much the same. The Dockside Diner had a total menu overhaul, and new restaurants like Woody's Lunchbox, Docking Bay 7, and other Star Wars food spots have since opened.
Restaurants like ABC Commissary have really kicked it up since they reopened. That buffalo chicken grilled cheese is excellent. One of the best things on property, in my opinion, for a quick service meal. I also like the food a lot in Galaxy's Edge. Ronto wraps are delicious. You've got craft beer in Galaxy's Edge. I also really like Woody's Lunchbox. I love tachos. I love breakfast tachos. I also like beer and charcuterie boards, and Baseline Tap House has those. So I would say overall the food overall is much better in Hollywood Studios than it was in MGM.
Hollywood Studios has been in a state of transformation practically since the park opened in 1989, with rides like Tower of Terror opening in 1994 and Rock and Roller Coaster in 1999. Then came the big 1-2 punch, with Toy Story Land opening in 2018, bringing Toy Story Mania, Slinky Dog Dash, Alien Swirling Saucers, followed by the opening of Star Wars Galaxy's Edge in 2019, including Smuggler's Run, and a few months later, Rise of the Resistance. Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway, the replacement for the Great Movie Ride, opened in 2020. As much as our readers love MGM Studios, several readers noted that Hollywood Studios has a lot more to do now. Reader Sarah E. said, "I never felt like there was enough to do when it was MGM, especially for kids, and it didn't fill up a day. However, the lines are much crazier now than before."
I personally think Galaxy's Edge and Toy Story Land are two incredible additions to Disney's Hollywood Studios. I think that they're so well done and so immersive. Another new addition is Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway. I just missed the Great Movie Ride, which is what it replaced. I really, really wish that perhaps Runaway Railway could have gone elsewhere, because I do think it's a great kids ride and a great kids option in a park that doesn't have a ton of them. But I would have loved to see Great Movie Ride updated and continue on.
I wish they had updated GMR, maybe brought in some new technology to keep it fresh, and put Mickey Minnie's Runaway Railway somewhere else. I love Mickey Minnie's Runaway Railway. I think it gets a lot of hate that it doesn't deserve because people loved GMR so much. I think it's a very cute attraction. It's technologically very advanced. It's a lot of thrill for a whole family ride. But I don't think it needs to be in the Chinese theater. I think updated GMR in the Chinese theater, put Mickey and Minnie somewhere else. You got a lot of room in this park. Put it in the Magic of Disney Animation. It makes no sense that Launch Bay is there. We don't need Star Wars in 3 parts of this park. Take out Launch Bay and put it in there.
The pros. Hollywood Studios is a great place to find thrill rides like Tower of Terror and Rock and Roller Coaster, plus lands based on Toy Story and Star Wars. Yes, please. The cons? This park made a ginormous transition, and with the multiple lands, it's just a bit disjointed. And as far as closing the Great Movie Ride, did we really level up with Runaway Railway? Before we announce the final tally of the then and now debate, give us a like and click on that thumbs up. And if you haven't yet, click on that subscribe button. When you subscribe, be sure to clang the little notification bell. You get an instant notification anytime we post a new video. And if you really want to be part of the fun, make sure to follow us on social media at AllEars.net. Got it? Good. On we go. So when it comes to Disney's Hollywood Studios, there's a lot of love for the old, but the new isn't bad either. According to our readers and social media followers, the favorite version of Disney's Hollywood Studios is then. I did not see that coming. I love the original park, but there's a whole lot of fun to be had there now. Hey, the battle isn't over. Express your opinion in the comments. This is Chris for AllEars.net. See you next time.